Hey guys, Joe here with SportsGrid. It is Tuesday. We've got a loaded slate in the NHL, and I'm hoping for a major bounce back. Yesterday, it was cold as ice out there. I just couldn't grab a winner unless it was in a player prop to save my life. Now, the Calgary Flames, Jacob Markstrom, if you hit his goalie prop to the save shots to the over, that came in nicely. We got Tyler Toffoli for the anytime goal. So there were some positives on the day, but looking at those straight up winners, who I was leaning towards and what I was thinking of those totals, it was a struggle out there. So let's get it back today. 11 games on the slate. And that's why we're starting off a little bit earlier. So sorry for anyone not expecting the show to start off at this time. I just looked at the slate and I was like, okay, we're ready to go. Let's start talking these games before we see any line movement. So the first game we're going to talk about, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now they're taking on the Boston Bruins, and we know the Bruins off a loss are a deadly team. And I also want to let you know, Brad Mouchon, I can never pronounce his name correctly. It's his 1000th game in the league. So I do expect a lot out of the Boston Bruins, especially off that loss, especially with Brad coming out here for game 1000. They're coming in at minus 152. Now we have seen movement on this line. It's really interesting to see the way it has moved. I did expect Boston to become a bigger favorite in this situation, but it does look like money is coming in on the Tampa Bay Lightning because earlier in the day you could get the Boston Bruins at minus 166. They have dropped to minus 152, and we're looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning coming in at plus 126. Now, when we look at this total, the total is 6.5. We are laying the juice to the under. It's minus 128 to the under, and we're getting plus 104 to this over. So looking at that puck line, because you guys know I can't lay a minus 152 even for the Boston Bruins. The puck line laying 1.5 is coming in at plus 158. If you do think the Tampa Bay Lightning can keep it within that one goal, you're going to get no value on that puck line. Plus 1.5 is 192. So what am I liking? Well, I'm looking at Brad here, Mouchon, to come out and to get that anytime goal. Him for the anytime goal is plus 160. I think it's a huge accomplishment for their 1000th game in the league, and I do expect him to come out nice and strong. I can't go against Boston in this spot. We know how strong they have been at bouncing back off of those losses. They're off that loss to the Capitals in an embarrassing loss. They got shut out Saturday at home 3-0 to the Washington Capitals. You know this team is going to come out and go strong, but I do expect this one to be a game where we look at the goaltending matchup. We got Vasilevsky expected here for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Boston Bruins expected to start Allmark. I do think this is a goaltending battle out there. I expect this one to stay under that total. So looking at that total of 6.5, minus 128 to the under. I wouldn't be afraid to take it under 6 as well if you're getting that on your book, or alting it to under 5.5. I really do think we're getting into the second half. As soon as we look after the All-Star break, I start looking at these totals, and I know we have offensive weapons on both sides of the puck in this matchup. But Andrei Vasilevsky has been solid. He's got a 2.79 goals against average and a 901 save percentage, and Allmark has been absolutely phenomenal. You can't even look at Allmark and not think he's one of the best goalies in the league, especially at home. So I do think this one is a lower scoring game. Vasilevsky took a couple minutes to up his game once stepping back on the ice, but I do think the light is these teams, the defense really needs to shine. We look at the kills on both of these teams. The kill for the Boston Bruin at 82.7%. That's coming in 7th best overall in the league. Now, I know the Lightning have that power play ability, and on the power play, they're absolutely deadly. They're converting at 30.7%, the best overall in the league. So the Boston Bruins, if they want to win this one at home, absolutely need to play a tight game. They need to show up defensively, and I think that's what they'll do, especially after being shut out in the last game versus the Capitals. I expect this team to find the back of Vasilevsky's net once and then completely lock down. I don't think this is a high-scoring game at all. I wouldn't be shocked if this was a 2-1. So I do like the under 5.5 too, if you can get it. Let's look at the next game here, you guys. We have the LA Kings taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Now, the LA Kings come into this one off that win. They're minus 142 here on the money line. The Buffalo Sabres at plus 118. We have a total of 6.5. Minus 134 to the under 6.5. If you're going to look at taking this one over, that's coming in at plus 110 to the over. This is going to be an interesting one. David Reach expected here for the LA Kings, and like for the Buffalo Sabres. The LA Kings, we know they've had their struggles, and they're coming off that win versus the Oilers. They were able to win that. That was a one-off home game. We know they've had the coaching changes. The interim coach is Jim Hiller here. So first game out on the road with Jim Heller taking over. We'll see what this team is able to do. Now, we know notoriously this team is strong on the road. They're sitting 15-6-4 on the road this season. So I do expect a lot of them in this game. But I think Buffalo at home here, this line doesn't look right. And it's something I should have looked at more last night with the Vegas Golden Knights. I looked at that line with Vegas and I was like, this is such a low line for Vegas. I have to jump on it. And it was the Minnesota Wild's game to win in that game. They were absolutely phenomenal out there on the ice. It's like the books knew something. And I kind of feel that way. Even though the LA Kings have been playing so much better hockey, it just feels like this is a game where Buffalo could take this at home. So I don't love the side in this one. I think I might look at Buffalo's team total. We know Vegas has had some issues giving up some goals, and some of those, LA has have some issues. Oh my God, if I can talk, giving up those goals. So I do think here on the road, even though this team is so strong defensively, we're going to see the Buffalo Sabres find the back of the net 3 times. I really do think this is a 4-3 style game. I don't want to lay minus 140-ish with the LA Kings. So give me the Buffalo Sabres here. Their team total over 2.5 coming in at minus 146. It's not the best value, but it's kind of the best thing I'm looking at in this game. You got Kempe here. I do think he gets on the scoreboard tonight for the LA Kings or more. I would look at either of those guys. You know, when we're looking at the Sabres, it's Jeff Skinner and Tage Thompson that should be able to get things done. So this is going to be an interesting one. This is the first game of a 4-game road trip here for the LA Kings. So I'm interested to see how they come out. It should be a good one. I talk like Mad Dog Russo. I don't. Okay, I'm going to have to listen to Mad Dog Russo and see if I really talk like Mad Dog Russo. You guys, Ducks over and the win. Happy Tuesday, Kev. Thank you so much for being here. Eric, it's nice to have you here. You've been listening for a week. That's awesome. Happy 1-week anniversary of joining me here. Hopefully you didn't lose too much money yesterday. Yesterday was an absolutely hard day. That is for sure. Tampa for the upset. Now, I would love Tampa for the upset because they did put a little bit of flyer on them to win the division. So I would love to see them be able to come out strong. Yeah, we were able to get those player props. So I'm glad you made some money on that for sure. Matt, big shout out to you and Lauren as well. So let's make some money today. That is for sure. Fat Tuesday. Let's make it a Fat Tuesday. I like the sounds of that, you guys. We're going to move on to the next game here. We got the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Now, not the best goaltending matchup here. Permois is coming in for the Montreal Canadiens and Dostal for the Anaheim Ducks. Now, the Anaheim Ducks on the road here, plus 100 and minus 120 for the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm really interested to see how much this line has moved because Montreal earlier, well, maybe late last night, minus 142 on the money line, now minus 120 favorites. I don't love Montreal in the favorite situation a lot. I love taking them as the underdog because we're getting the best value for them. But against the Anaheim Ducks, I don't trust the Anaheim Ducks either. They're not a team that instill a lot of faith in me. So more player props on this one. We do have a total of 6.5. Interesting to see the under is juiced at minus 115 and only minus 104 to the over. I do like this over. I expect those goals to come, especially with these goaltenders. We look at both of the goaltenders in this matchup, and neither instills a lot of confidence. I was really hoping for Sam Montague in goal for the Montreal Canadiens, and then we could hit the Montreal Canadiens, but this line has moved with Permois coming out. He's got a 3.36 goals against average and an 8.99 save percentage. And Dostal here with a 3.54 goals against average and a 901 save percentage. So this is game 2 for the Anaheim Ducks out of the break. They did lose that last game to the Edmonton Oilers, but they gave them a lot of strife in that one. It was a 5-3 finish, but that last goal was an empty netter by Edmonton. So you look at that, and the Ducks really kept it close. There really should have been a puck line cover for the Anaheim Ducks in that one. I know it cost a lot of us money on that, but Canadiens, they've lost their last 2. They allowed the Blues to put up 7 goals on them on Sunday, but Jake Allen was in net. We know Jake Allen has been having his struggles this season. So looking at that, the dogs are starting to bark in this house, and hopefully the dogs are not barking tonight in this game, because I just can't back the Ducks. And so at least the Ducks aren't quacking the dogs a little bit. But looking at goals, because I do think those goals are coming in. Nick Suzuki's been absolute fire as of late. Ever since Shane Monahan got transferred out, Nick Suzuki really has been stepping up. So his anytime goals coming in at plus 190. Cole Caulfield, you guys know I love to circle him. 4+ shots on goal tonight coming in at minus 120, and that anytime goal at minus 130. So I think there's value in both of those, especially looking at the Ducks, their ability to allow their opponent to get those shots on goal. They're coming in at 32.7 shots on average allowed. The Montreal Canadiens give up the shots as well. So they're allowing 34.2. Their kill is not strong at 73.9. So they're going to have to play a really clean game. I do look at Leo Carlson here for his shots on goals for the Anaheim Ducks. That's coming in at 3+ shots on goal for plus 128. I think you could almost extend that one up to 4+ shots on goal, get some more value. I think it comes in tonight. And Frank Fertrano here, plus 190 for the anytime goal, shots on goal, 4+ at plus 136. I think there's value in both of those. 3 of the last 4 games have gone over that total as well. So over in this one, the over 6.5. Terrible at home. Yeah, he is. He's not good at home. That is for sure. So backing Montreal is a scary situation tonight in this one. I just can't take the Ducks either, but I think that over is the best play. Okay, 18 teams have had 2 days of 2 days rest back to back. Yeah, Pumrio is in net. So I'm looking for him to struggle tonight. We did see Montreal win the last matchup 4-3. I really do think it's that style of game. If you do think the Ducks will hit Pumrio really hard, I would look at the reverse puck line here for the Anaheim Ducks. We know it's quite possible. The one thing about Montreal is they never give up. So this is a team that I always like to live bet. Even at, I know the line opened at minus 142, even Montreal at minus 120. I'm not willing to lay that. Montreal in the favorite role isn't their strongest suit. So what I will do is I'll watch this game. And I always do watch all of these games live. And I do jump back into situations where I feel is a better bet. So I'm not going to put anything on Montreal. If the Anaheim Ducks go down a couple really quick in that first period, Montreal fights to that very end. So I would take them plus a 1.5 on the puck line at that point. But I don't like taking their opponents to once they go down, because Montreal actually does play a decent game once they go up. So I would look at Montreal if they go down. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Ottawa Senators, another higher scoring game, I think, you guys, we have here. Now, this number originally for the total opened at 7. Just pulling up these lines right now. You are getting 6.5s over on FanDuel, but they are going to make you pay minus 160 here for the over 6.5. So you have to take it to the over 7. It's asking a lot out of both of these teams offensively, but defensively, those goals have been given up. So I completely understand why this one is juiced to that over. I would take the over before I took the under. Now, minus 200 here for the Ottawa Senators to get the win. Yeah, lay minus 200 with any team, let alone the Ottawa Senators. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets at plus 164. Puck line here. Columbus plus 1.5 is minus 150, so too juicy. Minus 1.5 for the Ottawa Senators coming in at plus 122. I think there's a different way to look at this. I do lean for this one to go over. I think 4-5 style game. I'm going to look at the Senators team total. I'm just hoping. Odds are up now. It was actually really interesting. I was looking on FanDuel earlier, and I wasn't able to get any odds on team totals on this one, which was the only game I wasn't able to get. So the over 3.5 for the Ottawa Senators, I hate that. It's minus 154. It's too much juice. The over 2.5 for the Columbus Blue Jackets is too much juice as well. Over 2.5 at minus 158. I think both of those hit. Like I said, I do think this is going to be a 5-4 style game. I think those goals are coming. But I don't want to lay that much juice, you guys. So It puts us in a really hard situation here. I think you look at goal scorers in this one, look at some prop bets. I do think that first period over 1.5 would be a solid way to look. We've got Forsberg coming in for the Ottawa Senators and Tarasov here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So Fantilli is still out of the lineup for Columbus as well. I would look at Bonjenner. I'd look at his shots on goal and the anytime goal. And I'd also look at Brady Tkachuk for the anytime goal and his shots, because both of these teams are giving up a lot of shots on goal, especially the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are allowing 33.4 shots on goal per game. Their kills coming in at 76.7%. The power play is not strong for either of these teams. So I wish it was stronger so we could see that conversion, because we know that the Ottawa Senators are going to play a pretty scrappy game, and so will Columbus in this one. But the Sens have won their last 3 games. The first game back was on Saturday. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was a 5-3 win. They're sitting 8th in the Atlantic, and we got Columbus sitting 8th in the Metro. So both of these teams not playing for much. They don't want to go out with the worst record in their division. So I do think they play solid. And like I said, Ottawa has won their last 3. So if you want to look at the Sens in regulation, you could look at them that way, or you could look at them here on the puck line. I'm not going to touch a side. I'm just going to look at Bonjenner for the anytime goal, Brady Tkachuk for the anytime goal, and I'm going to take it to the over 7. So I'm getting more value in this one. Yeah, Tarasov and Forsberg in this matchup. Very high on those totals to the over. No, I actually don't tweet live bets, but I really should. But the lines move so quick, and that's the problem. So when I'm doing in-game live with SportsGrid on Saturday and Sundays, everyone following along gets those live bets with us. But the fluctuation of those lines just moves so incredibly fast. It's not, unless you're taking a halftime bet, which I don't think you're getting the best of the value when you're looking at halftime. When you start watching those lines and sitting there during the game and watching the overreaction, especially if you just open your sports book after that first goal is scored, you look at how much those books move that line in favor of the other team, especially if there's a super quick goal, and those totals inflate so quick. So if you really have a gut feeling about a team or a total, watching those live lines can be super profitable, you guys. Okay, let's look at, because if I tweeted it, it's probably like you'd see it and then that line would be gone. The St. Louis Blues taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Now, Hofer expected in net tonight for the St. Louis Blues. The Blues have been playing solid. They've won their last 2. They got that win on Saturday, 3-1 versus the Sabres. And then they played the next day versus Montreal and got a huge win, 7-2. Jake Allen was in net. Jake Allen, we cannot trust. Anytime you see Jake Allen, take the opponent's team total to the over. He's absolutely struggling this season, and I hate to say it, but these teams are scoring on him like the St. Louis Blues. 7 goals in that last game. This team is only averaging 2.92 goals per game. So they have shown their struggles offensively. I want to see them really step up on the offensive side of the puck, but defensively also. They're giving up those goals. They're allowing more than 3 goals per game and 31.8 shots on their goaltenders. So Toronto should come out here and feast. We know the issues with Toronto, and they do play down to their opponents. So I'm hoping here, after Toronto lost that last game, for them to really come out strong. Now, Samsonov is in net. Samsonov has been pretty solid since he's come back from being sent down to the AHL for just kind of a mental health break. He's got a 3.38 goals against average and a 0.879 save percentage. So Toronto's team total, and actually I lied. This one also, I wasn't able to get odds on Toronto's team total before the show kicked off. It was just kind of weird because I always try to give you the odds on FanDuel because books are so different all over the place. And I just want to stay with consistent odds for you guys. Toronto's team total over 3.5 minus 122. So I do think there's value. If you're getting a minus 122 on your book, I would take it up to minus 128 for the over 3.5 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I do expect them to find the back of Hoffa's net in this one. Now, this is the 3rd game in 4 nights for the St. Louis Blues. So this team, I do think tired legs, especially on the defensive side of the puck, but I do think they'll still score on Toronto. So their team total of 2.5 at minus 116 to the over. I don't hate either, you guys. I really do think this is a 3-4 style game. Now, William Nylander here at home for the Toronto Maple Leafs is so solid for that anytime goal. He's coming in at plus 125. We know Morgan Rielly isn't playing. So Morgan Rielly, if you saw in the last game, did do the cross check to the head of the opponent after he got that slap shot empty netter. And Morgan Rielly took offense to this and decided to cross check him to the head. I think what Morgan Rielly did was way worse, but that is what it is. So he won't be playing in this game tonight. So there will be huge holes on the blue line here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I do think the Columbus Blue Jackets will be able to score in this game. So give me them for their team total over 2.5. I think Toronto's team total over 3.5 hits, and that total over 6.5 is in play tonight. Now, lines on this one, Toronto minus 215 and plus 178. Plus 176 for the St. Louis Blues. Total 6.5. So the minus 102 to the over 6.5. I'm not worried about that. We got low juice on that. I do think it's a nice game here. Toronto should come out and dominate. I just don't know if I trust in them enough, but I do trust in Nylander to get that anytime goal. The last time these teams did match up, it's interesting. St. Louis able to pull off the upset 6-5. And both of these teams are sitting fourth in their division, with St. Louis sitting fourth in the Central and Toronto sitting fourth in the Atlantic. So let's move on to the next game here. Did you guys hear that? I don't know what that was. It's a big bang upstairs. It sounded like someone fell. I don't know. We got the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Washington Capitals. It was really loud. The Avs coming in here almost as a $2 favorite at minus 192. We have plus 158 here for the Washington Capitals and a total of 6.5. Now you're getting plus money to the over 6.5 at plus 108. I do think Washington is one of those teams that doesn't score a lot of goals. So I understand why we're getting plus money to the over. But you look at the Colorado Avalanche, they're on a bad losing streak right now. And they've been giving up these goals, and Ovi has been on a hot streak. Ovi has got a goal. I believe it's in the last 5 games. So I do think there's an opportunity for the Washington Capitals to pull off the upset. This is a really hard schedule here for Colorado right now. They've lost their last 4 since coming out of the break. They got shut out on Saturday by the Panthers. So I can't lay this. Like, the odds here, almost a $2 favorite, minus 192, with a team that is absolutely struggling on the road. And this schedule isn't getting any easier. So Monday, they lost in overtime to the New York Rangers. It was a 2-1 loss. They lost to the Devils 5-3. They lost to Carolina Hurricanes 5-2 on Thursday. They lost to Panthers 4-0 on Saturday. So now they have the Capitals. Then they have the Lightning on Thursday, and then they're home on Sunday to face the Coyotes. Could they get shut out through this whole road trip? They absolutely could. And I really do think there's value in taking them to lose both of these next 2 games. So the last time these teams did match up back in January, Colorado was able to get a big win. It was a 5-2 win. Nathan MacKinnon didn't only get a hat trick, but he got 4 goals in the last game. So looking at Nathan MacKinnon to come out here nice and strong, looking at his shots on goal, his anytime goal here on Charlie Lindgren. But Charlie Lindgren for the Washington Capitals is coming off that shutout when they were able to get the shutout versus the Boston Bruins. And he saved 18 of 18 shots on goal. So the defense really did step up. We know the Boston Bruins are able to light the lamp quite easily, but Charlie Lindgren really had a stellar performance, and I've been looking for that performance out of him. He's going to roll into this game with momentum. That was his 3rd shutout of the season. So I do expect a lot out of him in this one. I have to take this one to the under. I do expect these teams to really lock down on the defensive side of the puck. And because I'm looking at a low-scoring complete battle out there with Colorado having their struggles, and I know the Capitals did just lose to the Canucks. It was a 3-2 loss in OT. I really do think the value on the Washington Capitals is something I can't look past tonight. I'm calling for the outright upset for them here at home. I just can't trust the Avs not to give up the goals on the road. And with Ovi looking hot, Dylan Strome coming out solid, and I know Nathan MacKinnon's going to bring it, but I do think you look at Ovi for the goal, you look at Dylan Strome maybe for the assist or his shots on goal. You still look at Nathan MacKinnon for his shots on goal. But you look at Washington to pull off this win at home. This is going to be a battle on the ice. I can hardly wait. Goaltending worries me also. Yeah, goaltending is an absolute worry. First period in the Avs. Yeah, I don't mind at all the first period in the Avs. Over could be possible for sure. I'm not sure though. Joe with Washington. I know. I know I do back Washington a lot. It puts me in good situations to back Washington though. They are in a good situation and I actually really like Washington isn't one of my favorite teams. They're a team that I just find some favorable betting situations. We find them as the underdog role a heck of a lot. And so you guys know I gravitate towards the underdog. It is hard enough to make money in sports betting, let alone leaning on those favorites. The favorites we know can fall. So looking at those underdogs in certain situations to be able to pull it off is exactly where I want to put my money. So Washington at that price at home with a hot Ovi who scored 5 goals in the last 5 games, I will put my money there. The Seattle Kraken then are on a back-to-back last night or tonight. They lost last night to the Devils. Man, I tell you, I expected so much more out of them last night. The Devils winning that 3-1. The Devils' ability to lock down on defense has been stellar the last couple of times we've seen them out there, except versus Calgary. But I do think I can't back the Kraken here on the second night of a back-to-back. Grubauer is in net, and it's the first time we've seen him in quite a while, so I do think he comes out rusty. The New York Islanders under Patrick Roy, I really like what we've seen out of them, even though they are coming off that 5-2 loss versus Calgary. But they won the 2 prior after coming back from the All-Star break. So I do think we get enough out of the New York Islanders in this one to be able to get the win. The problem here is the line because the books are thinking the same thing. So the Islanders now minus 160, you guys. They're minus 150 earlier in the day. You're getting plus 132 here for the Seattle Kraken. No value on the puck line unless you look at the Islanders plus 1.5 at plus 152. Total is sitting at 5.5. Minus 114 to the over and minus 106 to the under. I'm looking at Sorokin in goal tonight. And while the Islanders are starting to tighten up a little bit on the defensive side of the puck with Patrick Roy taking over this team for the coaching, I still do think the Seattle Kraken, although they're not a high shooting team, will be able to get enough shots to go over this 26.5. I do think they'll be put in a situation where they're playing from behind and will need to start peppering that net. So I think 26.5 for Sorokin, nice number to the over. We know we can trust in Sorokin in net for the Islanders. I can't trust the Kraken in this situation. So you can look at the Islanders in regulation. That's coming in at minus 105. Bo Horvat here for the anytime goal. I love. He's coming in at plus 160. Let's look at the next one on deck. We got the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Dallas Stars. Just seeing your comments here. Isles beat the Kraken, play them good. Minus 1. I do like that. You guys taking New York, got in regulation. I like where you're going in regulation. For sure. No totals. Yeah. Isles minus 1. That is a good price. Plus 130. I like where you're going with that one. The Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Dallas Stars. Let's just pull up current lines for this one. The Hurricanes at plus 100, minus 120 for the Dallas Stars, total 6.5. Minus 112 to the under, minus 108 to the over, a 6.5. Minus 112 to the under. That's an absolute gift here. I really do expect these teams to lock down on the defensive side of the puck. We know how strong Carolina is at limiting their opponent's ability to get these shots. Krochek is in net. Kochekov is in net tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes, and this team holding opponents to only 25.1 shots on goal per game. Their kill is absolutely phenomenal, 84.2%. And when we look at the Dallas Stars, Jake Ottinger is in net. So that's a mic drop right there, you guys. He's so phenomenally strong at home. I do expect both of these teams to struggle offensively in this one and for defense and goaltending to really control this game. I was shocked we weren't getting a 5.5 in this one. And I know when these two teams do play, they actually do trend to that over, but I'm not seeing it happen in this one. This is the first game home for the Dallas Stars off a 3-game road trip after the All-Star break. So I really do buy into that, fading teams off road trips, especially when you look at them. They got out on the road right after the All-Star break. They are ready to be home, and I do think this is a letdown spot for them. So picking a side, it would be Carolina for me. This is the first game on the road for them of a 3-game road trip. They won their last 5 road games. So this team phenomenally strong on the road, sitting 13-10. 0-1 on the road this season. I do think they can pull it off, and we're getting value here, more value at plus 100 than I expected us to be able to get with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, they did win the last meetup between these two teams, 3-2 back in January. Seth Jarvis has been phenomenally strong out there for them. I would look at him for his points tonight. He's been absolute fire at getting those points for us. I would look at the anytime goal as well. Looking at these defenses, the ability to lock down is phenomenal, and we don't see a lot of penalty minutes. It's the least penalized team here for the Dallas Stars. So look for both of these teams to play really solid on the defensive side. If the Dallas Stars do take those penalties, the Carolina Hurricanes could go over the total in that first period. And that's how essential it is for the Dallas Stars to play a clean game, because the Carolina Hurricanes converting at 27.6%. So high conversion here. The past 3 meetings between these two teams have totaled 21 points, but all of those games have gone to OT. So I do think it's a tight battle to the very end. I would lean on Carolina to be able to get the win. Blues on the money line for you. Kev leaning towards the under. Doug with Carolina plus the 1.5, and the unders. I like where you guys are going. 16=1 on the match to the over. Okay. Let's look at the next one here. The New Jersey Devils taking on the Nashville Predators. The Devils, again, on that second night of a back-to-back. I can't trust this team on a second night of a back-to-back as far as I can throw them. So it's almost laughable how little I trust them. They're coming in at plus 105, minus 126 for the Predators. I would lay minus 126. Even if this line was minus 142 for the Predators, I would still lay it. I think there's so much value here in them. Total of 6.5, minus 105 to the over, minus 115 to the under. Saros is the net for the Predators tonight. I'm going to look here at isolating the Predators and some of the props that I like and some of the players I like on this team and what I'm going to do with it. So the goalie prop for Saros, he's got a 2.97 goals against average and a 902 save percentage. Now, his save shots on goal, 26.5 to the overs, minus 124. I think that's a given today because we know the Preds still give up those shots on goal. The defense is allowing an average of 30 shots on goal per game. And the Devils, pepper goaltenders. This team is so used to lighting that lamp. And we could see them light the lamp tonight. But I do expect Saros to be able to go over 26.5. I think we'll see at least 33, 34 shots on Saros tonight. The Predators team total over 3.5. It's coming in at plus 144. I love it. Vanacek is in goal tonight for the New Jersey Devils, and I can't trust him right now. He's got a 3.18 goals against average and an 890 save percentage. The Devils just allowing way too many goals. It's like they're not playing a defense. They're not getting those back checks out there. So I do like the Predators to come out nice and strong in this one, be able to get the win here at home. Saros to go over his save percentage, over his save shots on goals, and the Preds to go over that team total of 3.5 at plus 114. That's where we're getting the plus money. Forsberg for the anytime goals coming in at plus 125, and Ryan O'Reilly at plus 190. So you guys know I love that plus money with those anytime goal scorers. And look at that. Nashville's 8-0 versus New Jersey in the last 8. You gotta love that. Good morning to Down Under. So it is going to be an interesting night, and the lines are fishy. Nashville, I agree with you, Kelly. That's why I said I would take Nashville at minus 142. So it's interesting to see where this line is sitting. If you think lines look fishy, we saw that with the Vegas Golden Knights game last night. Vegas came in at such a low favorite, around minus 144, 145. And we saw the Wild be able to pull off the win. So if you're looking at fishy lines, this would be your fishy line because Nashville should be a bigger favorite with the Devils on the second night of a back-to-back. The problem with the Devils is their inability to really get those block shots on goal. The defense just isn't stepping up the same way the offense is. Jack Hughes has been playing phenomenal, but I don't know if I trust this one. Vanacek has a flu bug and might not start. Now, that is really interesting to know. So it makes me love even more here taking the Predators team total to that over. And I'm still seeing expected, but we'll see where we went with that one. The +1.5 on the Wild. Nice work on that one. Okay. So let's move on to the next game. This is gonna be an interesting one. So they have won the last 8 versus the Devils, and 5 of the last 10 meetings have gone to overtime. So these teams, 50% of the last 10 have played really tight games. But I tell you, Saros should do enough in this one. Let's look at the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks are taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Blackhawks, huge dog at home. And you guys know I love a home dog. Can't get there. With the Chicago Blackhawks, Connor Bedard expected to get back in the lineup next week. I believe he's out there skating with them. They're coming in at +225, -280 here for the Vancouver Canucks on their last leg of a road trip. Never spot I really like laying juice. 5.5 that total, -120 to the over, -102 to the under. Can I just take the Canucks team total? I can. I can just take the Canucks team total over 3.5. That's coming in at -118. I do think you look at the Chicago Blackhawks team total under 2.5, but it's too highly juiced at -166. When we look at the last couple of matchups between these two, the Vancouver Canucks have held the Chicago Blackhawks to 2 or less goals in 5 of the last 6. So Chicago has always struggled to score on Vancouver. With Demko in goal tonight, this team is sitting nice and quietly first in the Pacific. I do think it's a struggle for Chicago to be able to get a win here. Now, looking at the Vancouver Canucks, they're coming off an overtime win 3-2 versus the Capitals. Could we see the shutout here for the Vancouver Canucks? Let me just see what we are getting for that exact score. I will look at a 4-0 exact score here in this one, or the shutout win for Demko. I do think there is every possibility. Chicago, we know, has struggled offensively on the season, and without Connor Bedard, we've seen even more struggles out of them. And we've seen Vancouver in some really odd letdown spots, but I don't think this is one of them. If you're looking at the Vancouver Canucks to win 4-0 in this one tonight, it is +3,100. If you think it's more of a 4-1 style game with Chicago finding the back of the net once, that's coming in at +1,200. I do think the best way to bet this is just to take the Vancouver Canucks team total over 3.5. I expect those 4 goals. If you want to take it to 5 because you think there's going to be an empty netter, those exact scores are so hard. But I would look at Vancouver to get at least 4. And I think Chicago stays 2 or less goals. So whatever kind of odds you want to bet on that one. But it's going to be an interesting one. Goal scorers for both of these teams. I'm staying off Chicago because I don't believe there's going to be goals out of them. I am looking at the first period, though, puck line for the Vancouver Canucks. So Vancouver, I'm hesitant to take on the puck line just because of the stat. Following an overtime win, they've gone 0-6 on that puck line. I could see them just locking down on the defensive side of the puck. So even though I think it could be 4-1, 4-2, I just don't want to lay the puck line. But the first period puck line, I think they roll in hot. Laying the half a goal in the first period is a +116. They have dominated this matchup. So I expect more of the same thing. I'm going to take an Elias parlay. You can look at Elias Lindholm and Elias Pettersson. So if you take both of them for the anytime goal, that's +688 for both of those guys for the anytime goal. If you look at them for their 3+ shots on goal, you parlay them together, that's coming in at +227. So I'm parlaying both of those, but if you want to look at them separately, Elias Lindholm is +155 for an anytime goal. His 3+ shots on goals -110, and Elias Pettersson coming in here at +220 for the anytime goal, and 3+ shots on goal at -135. So I think there's extreme value on both of those guys tonight. And then we've got one more game to go over, you guys. Last game, going with the Canucks, 4-3, Chicago on the road. Chicago to cover the +1.5. I don't hate Chicago +1.5. It is a nice way to look. Vancouver in regulation. I could see it in regulation. Yeah, the under could hit because I just don't believe in Chicago's ability to get the puck in the back of the net. 5.5 is the total in that one. So we have seen lines move on some of those books for sure. Okay, let's look at the Detroit Red Wings. They are taking on the Edmonton Oilers. I just need to pull up current odds here on FanDuel, you guys. Now we know Edmonton will be looking for revenge, but will they be able to get it on the Red Wings? They're coming in over $2 favorite, minus 215, plus 176 here for the Red Wings, total of 6.5. You're going to lay juice to the over, and rightly so. The Detroit Red Wings are a hard team for Edmonton to be able to shut down, and I do think they have the possibility of pulling out the upright upset. Can I say plus 176 here for the Red Wings? You know I love that value. Minus 215 for the Oilers. The puck line, Detroit, plus 1.5, minus 130. Sign me up. The Edmonton Oilers laying 1.5 plus 108. And I don't like that. We're not getting enough value. And I do think this is a 1-goal game between these two. This one has every possibility of going to OT. You look here at the goaltending matchup, and while we've got strong goaltenders, I do think this game opens up as soon as someone scores that first goal. Looking at the goal in the first 5 minutes, could we see it? We absolutely could. Do I think it's going to be Detroit? I believe it, because you look at Stuart Skinner here, and yes, he was on fire when they were on that run, but I tell you, that last loss here by to the LA Kings here for the Edmonton Oilers 4-0, it's got to be a heartbreaker. And I do think this team will start to open up on the offensive side of the pack. Now, Alex Leon is in goal for the Detroit Red Wings tonight, and I have a lot of faith in him. Well, he's got a 2.54 goals against average and a 921 save percentage. The last time he faced the Edmonton Oilers back on January 11th, he only allowed 3 goals on 47 shots on net. So he played a phenomenally strong game, even though they recorded that loss 3-2. So I think this is another goaltending battle, but one where these offenses have a little bit more success on both of these goaltenders. So I think it will come down to mistakes. I like the over 6.5 in this one. I like the Red Wings plus the 1.5 at minus 130. I do think this one has the possibility of going to OT as well. There's going to be a lot of playmakers in this game, and let's just look at those anytime goals and who I'm liking out of this game here. So Connor McDavid, you're going to have to pay the price to bet him. He's coming in at minus 105. If you go further down the list for the Edmonton Oilers, looking at Vander Kane, I know a lot of people hate him, but you're getting him at a $2 price. You're getting him plus 200. So I like him in that situation. And I really like what we've seen out of Dylan Larkin. You can get him for the Red Wings at plus 210. DeBrincat's always another player who you can count on to find the back of the net and light that lamp. He's coming in at plus 230. And Patrick Kane. Now, Corey Perry, he's interesting to look at plus 290. If you're looking further down the list at more of a long shot here, I wouldn't go too far down. Andrew Coop here for the Red Wings. He's coming in at plus 500. And that's about as deep as I would go. David Perrin is plus 380. He's always another solid player. But I do believe this is a game 4-3 for the winner, with a 3-3 going to OT. So Ryan McLeod also, Edmonton Oilers, plus 480 for Ryan McLeod for that anytime goal. Kane, 3+ shots. Yeah, I really do like him here, John. That's a great stat as well. 6 of the last 7 games, he's had those 3+ shots. You're getting the plus 1.5 at minus 118. I like where you're going with that one. Everyone going there. So it's definitely going to be a good one. Leon and Skinner. I want to say we could get the under, but I just don't think Edmonton can play to the under again. So we saw Edmonton go on their hot streak, and this team was playing phenomenally strong on the defensive side of the puck. Coming out the All-Star break, we've seen their defense struggle, and I do think this could be a game with how powerful offensively the Red Wings are, and the difficulties here to stop this Red Wings team on the offensive side. I think we'll see those struggles out of Edmonton. So I'm looking for a higher scoring one, only because I think both goaltenders will be absolutely peppered. Let's see if there's any goalie props, because we weren't getting goalie props in this one before we started. Skinner, his number is 24.5 to the over, minus 102, and minus 124 to the under. Now, Edmonton, on the season is allowing 27.9 shots on goal per game. They have been locking down more solid on the defensive side. I do think this is one where 24.5 is pretty solid to the number. If you see that drop a little bit to even 24, I would hit it. I wouldn't hit it 24.5. I do expect the Red Wings, who average 28.9 shots per game, to really pepper him tonight, but it's going to be so solid to the number. It's amazing how easy to the number. And Alex Leon, no numbers yet for him, but I would look at DeBrincat shots on goal as well. DeBrincat always comes out and brings it, and we know Edmonton will falter in some of these games. So they're coming off an emotional loss on the road to the LA Kings back home here. This is going to be a tough battle versus the Detroit Red Wings. The value is on the Red Wings plus 1.5. Okay, guys, that is everything. We've gone over all of the games. I appreciate you guys so much for being here each and every day with me. Let's make some freaking money tonight. We'll be back here at 3:30 Eastern tomorrow. We've got a smaller slate tomorrow, pretty sure at least. I looked at it earlier and I'm just drawing a blank because I looked at the whole week here. So tomorrow we got 3 games on deck. We've got the Sharks versus the Jets, the Panthers versus the Penguins, and the Minnesota Wild versus the Arizona Coyotes. So the Coyotes back in Mullet Arena. You guys heard all the talks about the league needing them to find a new home. So we'll see what's happening there. The Sharks, a huge dog on the road, but rightly so. I think the Panthers and the Penguins game will be the best game of the night. But let me know what you're looking forward to tomorrow, what you're betting tonight, and your best bet of the night, what you're liking out there. It's going to be a fantastic night. So thank you so much, guys. Let's make some freaking money. Let's have a good one tonight. I will see you tomorrow, same time. And again, if you haven't downloaded the SportsGrid app, go check it out today. Links are above or below. You can get it on your Android or your Apple, and you can follow your favorite hosts over there. You can see clips from the shows. There's bets as well. Sharks first game back. Can we get the upset, you guys? Come on. Doug, we're getting plus 315 right now today on the Sharks on the money line. Against the Winnipeg Jets, Winnipeg, Connor Hellebuck starting in net. They will be deadly. Lights out. Take the under 5.5. Give me the under 5.5. The Winnipeg Jets and the San Jose Sharks right now. Let's bet it before it moves to a solid 5. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking money. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.